Henry Ford Museum of American Innovation has added a new vehicle to its collection. Visitors now have the chance to see a very unique 1966 Volkswagen Deluxe station wagon microbus.
This bus is actually part of a much larger story. It played a role in the civil rights movement of the 1960s. It was owned by a couple named Esau and Janie Jenkins. They lived in Johns Island, South Carolina, outside Charleston, and they literally spent their whole lives fighting to champion the betterment of lives of the fellow black residents of Johns Island, and this van was a big part of their work. They did everything from fundraising to educational programs, both for kids and adults, even to getting people to work, shuffling them to and from. So anything they could do to try and improve the lives of their fellow residents, they were involved. It's great to have a vehicle that's tied with a big story. We like to say that when we collect cars or when we display cars, we want them to be able to tell 2 or 3 different stories. And here you can talk about the Jenkins personally. You can also talk about the wider civil rights movement in the 1960s. I think it's also special because this van is in a bit of a different condition than you're used to seeing in a museum. It's clearly been used. It's in somewhat rough shape. The van's current condition is a real part of its character, and it's a real tribute to the work that Esau and Janie Jenkins did, the struggle for equal rights.
The museum was able to obtain this vehicle as part of a national program dedicated to preserving automotive history.
We have a partnership with Hagerty, which is the largest collector car insurance provider in the United States. They launched not too long ago a program called the National Historic Vehicle Register, where every year they pick 2 or 3 cars that have some significant story. They could be cars from pop culture, from racing, production or concept cars, or vehicles that tie to larger national stories like this Jenkins bus. And through our collaboration with Hagerty, we've been able to borrow some of the cars from that list and have them on display here in the museum. So it's a great way to talk about the automobile's role in American history. It's one of those things we take for granted. We drive cars every day, everywhere, and we have to step back sometimes and think of the role that it plays in larger national events.
When guests stop at this exhibit, they are not just learning about an historic vehicle, they are learning about an important time in history that the microbus was part of.
I hope when visitors see this vehicle, they stop for a moment to think about the struggle for civil rights and a struggle that sadly is still ongoing even today, and they think about the work that has to be done. I also hope it challenges their thought of what is quote unquote worthy of being in a museum. They don't need to be pieces that look brand new, fully polished cars like they came right out of the dealer's showroom. Vehicles that have rough edges, vehicles that clearly have been used, are perfectly appropriate to be in museums. In fact, we appreciate cars that have some evidence of use like that. It's a part of the vehicle story, every last scratch and ding.
Find out about this exhibit and all the other amazing artifacts you can see at the Henry Ford, online at thehenryford.org, or on social media at the Henry Ford.